Now, look at your book at paragraph number 10. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did it up again, nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a minute and stood still while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. So, in the previous paragraph, the writer has explained the precious possessions. They were Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and grandfather's. At the same time, Della's precious possession was her long hair. Now, in this paragraph, the writer explains about that long hair. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. Here, the writer O. Henry just compares her long hair to the cascade of brown waters. What is meant by cascade? Cascade means waterfall. How was it? It was like cascade of brown waters. Actually, that brown is the color of her hair. That is compared to the waterfall here. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling. How did it come down? It rippled. What is meant by rippling? Rippling means like series of small waves. Like series of small waves, the long hair of her came down and it was shining like a cascade. It was shining like a waterfall of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. So, like a cloth. So, like a cloth, it reached her knee. The long hair reached below her knee. It almost covered her knee. So, that much long it was. And then she did it up again, nervously and quickly. She was nervous on that moment. But quickly she did it up again. She folded it again. Once she faltered for a minute. What does mean by faltered? Falter means lose strength. She had lost her strength on that moment and stood still while a tear or two splashed on the own red carpet. Her eyes were shedding tears. The tears were getting shed out of her eyes. One or two splashed on the worn red carpet. That means on that moment she was sad. She was just thinking about the gift what she wanted to purchase for her loving husband. Let us move on to the next paragraph, 11th paragraph. On went her old brown jacket. On went her old brown hat with a whirl of skirts and with a brilliant sparkle still in her eyes. She fluttered out the door and down the stairs to the street. Now, what the thinking was there in the mind of Della had to be exhibited. Means she had to go to purchase the gift. That is why hurriedly she got ready. On went her old brown jacket. She wore the brown jacket and on her old brown hat. She took her old brown hat and kept on her head. With a whirl of skirts means she wore the skirts and with the brilliant sparkle still in her eye. There was a brilliant sparkle. The eyes were sparkling. There was some confidence in her that she would buy some gift for her husband. She fluttered out. What does mean by fluttered? Flutter means move out. She moved out. Flutter means move. She moved out of her house and down the stairs to the street. Directly she moved towards the street. 12th paragraph, where she stopped, the sign read, Ma'am Sofroni, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up, Della ran and collected herself, panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked the Sofroni. Children, here, where she stopped, the sign read. So as she moved towards the street, she stopped once when she read the signboard. So there was a signboard. What was written on it? There was written something. What was it? It was Madam M.M.E. That is the short form of Madam. Madam Sofroni. Hair goods of all kinds. That was the shop where the person was purchasing hair goods of all kinds, and he was selling. So that was the lady over here, Sofroni. One flight up, Della ran. Della moved quickly. Della hurried quickly into the shop and collected herself. Actually, here, collect herself means recover from surprise. She recovered from surprise because the hope she got, that was Madame Sofroni's shop. She breathed heavily, panting, breathed heavily. She panted, panting, breathed heavily. By breathing heavily, she recovered herself from her surprise. Madam, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked the Sofroni. Actually, here that the Sofroni, in the sense, Sofroni is the name of the saint. Actually, Orthodox people will use the name of the saint Sophrony. So that is used here as the Sophrony. Madam, actually, the lady, the one who was selling hair, or the one who was purchasing from the people and selling hair, that was Madam. She was not. She was behaving like a foreigner, but she was not a foreigner over here. Madam, large, too white, but actually she was not too white. Chilly means here unfriendly. She was not so friendly, she was unfriendly. Hardly looked the Sofroni. But actually, for Della, she looked like a saint, but she was not. Then, in 13th line, will you buy my hair? Asked Della. Della asked her whether she would buy her hair. The response which was given by the end of Madame Sofroni, I buy hair, said Madame. Who was that? Madame Sofroni, not Sefroni or Sufroni or something. It is Sofroni. I buy hair, said Madame. Madame said that she bought hair. Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it. Yes, she wanted to have a sight. She wanted to have a look over the long hair. Then she asked her to remove her hat. Down rippled the brown cascade. Which was the brown cascade over here? Brown cascade means that was the long hair. $20, said Madam, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. She was very much practiced in her business. So that's why, with a practiced hand, she lifted up the long hair and she fixed the rate. That was $20. What was the amount which she wanted to give for that long hair? That was $20. Then, yeah, by having the great hope of a lady, Della, she just continued her words. Della said, give it to me quick, give it to me quick, said Della. Della said, so Della asked her to give it to her very quickly. Yes, she was in need of that $20. $20 were very much needed for our Della. Della was in need of $20. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. So, dear children, just do one thing. 13th line, will you buy my hair? Kindly underline that. Will you buy my hair? Who said this to whom? Will you buy my hair? Who said this to whom? Anish, will you buy my hair? Who said this to whom?
Sir,
Are you able to hear me?
yes, sir.
Okay. Will you buy my hair? Who said this to whom?
Della asked,
Hmm. Della asked to whom?
Madam Safrani,
Yes, exactly. It was asked by Della to Madam Safroni. Madam Sofroni. Sofroni. Okay. And then one more statement. I buy hair. I buy hair. Who said this to whom? Underline that. I buy hair. I buy hair. Kripa. Who said this to whom? I buy hair. Kripa. Are you there, Kripa? Respond me. I buy hair. Who said this to whom? I'm unable to hear you, Kripa. Neha V. Hegde. Yes, Neha. Neha V. Hegde.
Yes,
Neha, speak properly. Sorry, there might be network issue with her. Neha R will respond me now.
ask sir.
I buy hair. Who said this to whom?
Madam said to Della.
Who was that, madam? What was her name? What was the name of that madam?
Saffronia.
No, Sofroni. What is it?
Saffroni.
Sofroni. Okay. Fine, children. Just observe 18 paragraph here. I hope you have underlined that I buy hair, and thereafter you underline the next one. Next one also. Take your hat off, and let's have a sight at the looks of it. So that too was said by Madam to Madam Sofroni to Della, and then $20. So these are the very important extracts which will be asked in your examination. $20 that is to be underlined. $20, $20 said by Madam to Della, and then give it to me quick. Underline that also. Give it to me quick. It was asked. It was said by Della to Madam Sofroni. Hope you have underlined all these lines. Let us continue. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Right? The lady is sad now. But the writer is saying that the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings, the swift way in which the next 2 hours passed. But what the writer is saying exactly over here, and then he says, for the writer says, forget the hashed metaphor. What does it mean? So actually, the author has used the words tripped by on rosy wings to tell that Della happily and cheerfully spent the next 2 hours after she got $20 from Madame Safrani. So in the beginning, she went to Madame Safrani, and then she asked whether she bought her long hair, and yeah, it was she agreed. Madam Safrani agreed, and she said that she would pay $20 for that. Okay, it was agreed by the end of Della also. Della sold her hair and she got $20. Now she had $20 with her by selling that long hair. So that is why now Della happily and cheerfully spent the next 2 hours after selling her long hair for that 20 for those $20. Now, here she has mixed feelings because she has sacrificed her most precious possession, that was her long hair. But she is able to buy something worthwhile with that money. So, with that $20, she could purchase some worthwhile thing for her husband. That was the gift which is to be presented on the day of Christmas. Now, so the author says, one may think the comparison that he has given, which is the comparison here, that is tripped by on rosy wings. This is the comparison which he has given, tripped by on rosy wings. So we feel that that is not suitable here, right? Because she is sad. How can it be suitable? So that we can think. So that is why the writer tells us in the next line, forget the hashed metaphor. Means you just forget it, because that the comparison what the writer has given is improper, or that is messy, that the comparison what he has given, that is messy, that is improper. So that's why he has used the statement, forget the hashed metaphor. So once again, just look at it. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. The next 2 hours, Della spent the next 2 hours happily, cheerfully. And then he uses, the writer says to us, forget the hashed metaphor. The metaphor, what he has used here, that is the mixed metaphor. Hashed means mixed. She had the mixed feelings. One was losing hair, that was sadness, and another one, $20, through which she could purchase some worthwhile gift for her beloved husband, that was Jim. So that is why the writer has said, tripped by on rosy wings in the beginning, means happily and cheerfully she spent her 2 hours, and then forget the hashed metaphor means this is not a proper metaphor over here, so just forget it. That the writer says to us. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. What is meant by ransack? Ransack means search. She was in search of the stores to purchase the best gift for her husband, that was Jim. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores. And she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation, as all good things should do. Okay, now let us have a look over these lines first. She found it at last. Finally, Della got the best one, the best gift in one shop. In a shop, she found it. It surely had been made for Jim. She understood and she believed that that gift was really made for whom? That was really made for her beloved husband, Jim. And no one else. It was only for Jim. It was not for some other. It was meant for only Jim, and it was not meant for any other person in the world. That she thought. There was no other like it in any of the stores. Such material she didn't find in any other stores. And she believes that that will not be available anywhere. And she had turned all of them inside out. She checked it. She observed it. She observed minutely. She loved it. What was it? Underline that. It was a platinum fob chain. What was it? It was a platinum fob chain. How was it? What was the quality of it? It was very simple. So the writer says that it was simple and chaste in design. What is meant by chaste? Plain and without much decoration. It was not having much decoration. It was so simple. The platinum fob chain which she wanted to purchase from the shop was very simple. It was not having much decoration on it. It was even worthy of the watch. Yes, it was the very suitable one for that watch which Jim had, which Jim loved too much. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. Yes, she believed that it must be Jim's. It must not be some others. It must be Jim's. And it must be with her Jim. It was like him. It was like him. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it. And she hurried home with the 87 cents. Now look at it. It was like him. It was the platinum fob chain was like her Jim. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. These two descriptions applied to both quietness and value. He was very quiet. Jim was very quiet and he was valuable. Like him, the fob chain was quiet and valuable. The quietness and value, the description applied to both Jim and the fob chain. $21 they took from her for it. How much they took? They took $21. Earlier, she had $1.87, right? Later, by losing her hair or by selling her hair, she got $20. Now, the money what she had was $21.87. How much she spent for that fob chain? She spent for that fob chain $21. The writer mentions here $21 they took from her. How much did she spend for that? She spent $21 and the remaining amount was 87 cents. 87 cents were just remained with her. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. What the writer says? The writer explains the things, whatever they are going on in the mind of Della. What Della thinks here? Della thinks that it is grand as the watch was. Yes, of course, it was very grand. as the watch. It was the gold watch. Like that, it was grand. The fob chain was very grand. The platinum fob chain was very grand as his watch, as his gold watch. He sometimes looked at it on the sly. So wherever he is, he will be very anxious. Jim will be very anxious to see the time, to look at the time, to know the time. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly. What is the meaning of the phrase on the sly? On the sly means secretly. He would see his watch secretly to know the time on account of the old leather strap. So, what is replaced? What is going to be replaced? The old leather strap, which was with that gold watch, that is to be replaced, and that is to be replaced with this fob chain, platinum fob chain that he used in place of a chain. When Della reached, 20th paragraph, when Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task, dear friends, a mammoth task. So here the writer tries to depict an overly emotional Della. The emotions of Della are explained over here. With her intoxication, which gave way to little prudence and reason, she reached home. She finally reached. She was very much sad. At the same time, she was happy. With mixed feelings, she reached home. And what did she do there? She got out her curling irons. She took out her curling irons to curl her hair and lighted the gas. At the same time, she lighted the gas to cook and went to work repairing the ravages or damages made by generosity added to love. Being generous with love, she went to purchase the best gift. She spent her money which she had saved, that was $1.87. Along with that, she spent some other money by selling her long hair, right? So 87 cents she just kept with her, but other $21 were spent by her, right? Yeah. How was it made? It was made because of generosity added to love. She tried to repair her long hair. She tried to repair the hair which was cut, which was already cut. She tried to repair it. She tried to curl it. Ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task. Yes, children. So when you love your parents, when you love someone, it is very easy to sacrifice. But that is that is really a tremendous task. That is really, yes, Anurag, what happened? So such task is really difficult. Sacrificing is the most difficult thing in life. But without having any other second thought, Della went and just sacrificed her long hair. She just sold her long hair and purchased a fob chain as a gift for her husband Jim. Let us move on to paragraph number 21. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror long, carefully, and critically. What did she do? Within 40 minutes. Just within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close lying curls. See, already she had taken out the curling irons. With those curling irons, she just tried to she just tried to cover up her head with curls that made her look wonderfully. How did she look later? She looked like a truant schoolboy. Truant means a child who is regularly absent from school without permission. So she looked like a truant schoolboy, the one who doesn't take permission and who becomes absent to school. Like that, Della was looking like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. So already she had lost her long hair and she had tried to curl her hair up. And then she just went before the mirror. She stood up before she stood up before the mirror and just observed her look. She observed her reflection in the mirror long, carefully, and critically. She observed it very minutely because she had a fear in her heart. She had a fear in her mind that she would be scolded by her husband, Jim, because that was not only the beloved possession for Della, her long hair was loved by Jim also. So that is why she got feared. Then in paragraph number 22nd, just we will come to know if Jim doesn't kill me, underline it please. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he will say, I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? Yes. She consoles herself by saying these words, children. By this statement, she consoles herself. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, before he takes the second look at her, she would say that he will say, yes, he would say that she looked like a Coney Island chorus girl, a girl who dances or sings in a musical comedy in New York. Like that Coney Island chorus girl, she would look like. So, this was not said by Jim. This was just the consolement. She just consoled herself by these words. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do? Yes, she was sad because she was not in a condition to purchase the greatest thing, the fob chain, the gift, the best gift as a Christmas gift for her Jim. That is why she was sad. But what could I do? What could she do just with $1.87? That's why she just sold her long hair. I do with $1.87. Yes, she couldn't have done anything over there. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot. That was the time to prepare coffee. So she just went into the kitchen and started to prepare coffee. She made it. She made coffee, and the frying pan was, she kept the frying pan on the back of the stove and started to cook the chops. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fork chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. Where did she sit? She waited for her husband by sitting on the corner of the table near the door. Usually from there he was entering every day. Then she heard his step on the stair away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit for saying little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered. Please God, make him think I'm still pretty. Underline the statement, please God, make him think I'm still pretty. Now, observe it. Jim was never late. Yes, he was never late. He was coming earlier. Della doubled the fob chain by having that fob chain. She just doubled it. She looked at it. She doubled it in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. So usually he was entering from that place. So she just sat on on the corner of the table near the door. Then she heard his step. Yes, that was the time of the arrival of her husband Jim. She heard the sound of the step on the stair away down the first flight, and she turned white. Why the writer has used the word time turn white? Because she was feared. With fear, she turned white. She was furious. Sorry, she was in fear. She was worried about how to face her husband. She had a habit for saying little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things. Every day she was doing a little prayer to the God. And on that day, she prayed like this. What did she pray? And how did she pray? And now she whispered, she murmured slowly, please God. She prayed to God. Please God, make him think I'm still pretty. She prayed to God to make him think still she was pretty. Yes, she was pretty. But he should think it, no? So when she faces him, it's very difficult to face. He may fire her. He may scold at her. So that's why she was worried very much to face her beloved husband on that situation or on that moment. So children, so I'll end up the session over here. If you have any doubts, you can ask me or you can raise your hands. So I'll continue the lesson tomorrow.